over the last 5 years, we have seen a lot of changes in the world. We've seen a lot of things we never thought we'd see. And I believe wholeheartedly, and I'm sure whoever is watching this video, regardless of what you believe or worship or don't worship or whatever, I strongly believe that every human on this planet knows that at the end of 2019, 2020, we entered a new season as a world. Things were just different after January of 2020. Once COVID hit, everything changed. Like, we just hit this whole other season. We knew that things were different, and nothing has been the same since. But God orchestrates every single thing in seasons, and the things that we have watched over the last 5 years, I'm here to tell you, Jesus literally told us it would be like this. To sit there and look around and go, well, why is this happening? Or what's going to happen next? Or anything like that is foolish. God has made it very clear and plain in His Word and His prophecy what's going to happen, and it's not that complicated. Jesus made it very, very clear what is happening right now. And all this took place in a moment when He was leaving the temple with His disciples, and they were pointing at how awesome the temple was. And they asked Him, well, how will we know when it's your second coming? Like, how will we know? And He begins to share several things with them that give a description of what the world will be like during that time. And everything we're seeing now, from COVID to wars, to earthquakes, He said it would be like that. Like, we've had some the earth has been shaken. It's been shaken just in the last few weeks. So let's take a look at this moment in time and compare it to our current time, what it is Jesus said it would be like. And I want to start by saying that when the disciples asked Him this question, this whole little conversation began in Matthew 24:1. This conversation continues through the entire chapter of 24, the entire chapter of 25, all the way to the end of 25. So for 2 whole chapters, He is answering this question. So I'm not going to go through all that. We did a series on the water where we went through this verse by verse, and it took months to do. I'll put a link there. It just really breaks down everything Jesus has had to say about this question. But I'm going to focus on the beginnings of these things, like when He said, when you start to see these things happen. So we'll go to Matthew 24. We'll start in 3. Now, as He sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to Him privately, saying, tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age? And Jesus answered and said to them, take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So according to Jesus, this is how it all starts, is that the first thing that takes place is Christianity and who the Son of God is twisted into craziness. And we have absolutely seen that. Even in the Christian church, there is an entire culture in the American evangelical church that bows down to people that are alive right now on this earth, bows down to politicians that are alive on this earth right now, just like Jesus said they would. And there's this twisting of who Jesus is that really began as far back as when I was a kid. Like, I remember everything I knew about Jesus was that He was a weak, pathetic, kind of a wimpy, girly guy who lost. Everything showed, like, here's this wimpy, kind of feminine guy who gets killed. The end. And if you happen to stay for the last second of the movie, he rises at the end. And then the end. Nobody ever talked about, at least in the 80s and 90s, who he really was, the warrior he was, the man's man that he was, the way he took beatings for people, the way he was killed and just took it, even though he didn't have to, even though he could have stopped it at any given moment. The human body has a pain threshold, that there's a point where you're in so much pain that even if your mind says, well, don't do these things, your body's just going to do it. And there's nothing you can do about it. He was that strong of a man. And we have twisted him into this wimpy little guy who just, he just said some fancy things, and then they killed him. And that was it. That was the end. Oh, and he walked on water too. That's what I remember about Jesus from my childhood. Everything I learned from my childhood, I just shared with you. I never understood what it was he actually came to do. And once I knew that, everything changed. Once I really understood what he meant, and the church has twisted this, I would dare to say that most people, they could tell you the Jesus story, but they can't really explain the power of it. They can't explain it. And they put the power elsewhere in people. We'll give this guy power. We'll give that guy power, because there's no power there. It's the very first thing he said would happen. And then we would hear of wars and rumors of wars. Heard of them lately? Literally, our politicians are telling us there's going to be a World War III. Everybody's threatening to attack this person or that person. And then occasionally a war is breaking out. We got... Look around, Ukraine, Israel, all these things. And by the way, he's speaking to Israel in this moment as well. So all these things, our politicians are literally spreading rumors of wars, and we're talking about rumors of wars. And then there's also, there's wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, for the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. I believe that we're already seeing that. We had this reasonable alliance, call it, that if you looked at the whole world, there was really two sides. You had our side and you had the other side, which was typically Russia, China, North Korea, that there was that side, and then there was our side. Now, I don't think there is much sides. I really don't. I think that you take the continent of Europe, they're going to bond together as several countries, so there'll be a side. We're kind of isolating ourselves. We're aligning ourselves with people we didn't, back in the 80s, you said, man, we were going to align ourselves with these people. You would have definitely not been a good, successful politician back then. And it's just, nothing is making sense as far as who is going against who and for what reasons. These are the things that we're going to see. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines, check. Pestilence, check. And earthquakes in various places, check, check. This is what Jesus said it would be like. So if you take everything he just said, I'm just going to read it again and apply it to our world. There's not a lot of other things going on worldwide. We're not seeing much other, this is, as a whole, what we can observe in our world. For many will come in my name, saying I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows. So if all these things are the beginning of sorrows, it's just the beginning. What? Then what? If what we're witnessing, and I believe this is what we're witnessing, is the beginning of sorrows, what's next? Well, he goes on to say, then they will deliver you up in tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures till the end shall be saved. So in other words, this is the good stuff. Let that sink in. This is the good stuff. The wars, the pestilence, the famines, the earthquakes. This is where it's calm. This is the calm before the storm, because there'll be a moment in time, in only a few years, where suddenly those who are of the way of Jesus Christ, I'm not even going to call them Christians, because Christians will be like the Sadducees and the Pharisees. They'll be the ones trying to kill you. Because if you look how the book of Acts played out, the Romans never went after the Christians. They never did. It was the religious people. It was the religious people that kicked in the doors and dragged out women and children and men. It was the religious people that imprisoned them and murdered them. It was never the cops or the military or anything like that. It was the religious people. So be not deceived that if you're really a Christian, meaning you are being about God's business in the face of adversity, you will be of the way of Jesus, or you'll be of the remnant. Christians will be the one, those ones that call themselves Christians, they will in their heart believe that by hunting you down, they are doing God's will, just like Saul did. But the good news is that we sustained for 3.5 years successfully warring against the beast system. This is the beginning of sorrows. And so when you're looking around the world going, man, a lot of crazy things going on, what's up? Well, Jesus said, this is literally exactly what it'll be like.